Here we are on Bills by the Numbers, where we let the stats tell you where the Bills are at. We're presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Coming up, where Buffalo's offense under Joe Brady is most different from previous versions. How do the Bills go about getting the passing game back to a high rate of efficiency? And is it a uniform fit, or might it shift week to week based on the opponent? And as always, we'll have our one burning question. Who's got the ball? Glad you could join us. Bills Wall of Famer Steve Tasker, Bills insider Chris Brown with you as always. And our jumping off point this week, the Bills offense under offensive coordinator Joe Brady. Through 5 games this season and the 7 games when he was interim last year, we're beginning to get a feel for how this offensive system will be most different from what we've witnessed in the past. And where it appears to be most changed is on first down. Under Brian Daboll and Ken Dorsey, Buffalo was among the league leaders in first down pass rate, ranking in the top 5 in 2020, 2021, and in the top 10 in 2022. This season, Buffalo ranks 26th in first down pass rate as they have leaned into using their run game more on first down. What does that say to you about Buffalo's approach, knowing they still have a top 2 quarterback in Josh Allen?
Yeah, I think they're trying to take something off his plate. I mean, to put everything, even, he was the highest percentage of the offense maybe in the league, or at least the top 2 or 3 players in the league that was responsible for this team's offense. Certainly it puts him in the MVP race, but it also makes the Bills a little bit top-heavy. I think they're trying to find more ways to beat teams using the run game. James Cook is an outstanding running back. We've seen it both in the pass and in the run. The offensive line is big and athletic, and to get them rolling is a good thing. Plus, when you can run the ball on first down, whether you're predictable or not, if you get 4 to 6 yards on first down run, you keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's a low risk play, and you're not going to turn it over, and it sets you up for success in later downs.
That is usually the case. And Joe Brady kind of shed some light on his thoughts on the run game, which against Houston in Week 5 was successful early in the game. I think they were like 3 carries for 23 yards on their first 3 first down carries. So
Right.
It was working early. But he talked about what the thought process was, and it seems as though their approach there in running as much as they have on first down, 61% this season, is they are trying to get the box count they want, so later in the game, go down the field with the football. Now,
Right.
At the same time, they've also missed on some deep shots this year, unfortunately. But the run game early has generated deep shot opportunities. Yeah. They just haven't hit them.
Right, and don't undersell how big an effect hitting them for big plays has on the defense.
Yeah.
If you can't hit them, they're not afraid
intimidated,
of it.
yeah.
They're not intimidated by it. And that's probably a lot of what happened in Houston. Missing the Mac Hollins throw early, missing on some other shots down the seams and stuff.
Kincaid down the sideline once.
Yeah, the defense just doesn't believe you can do it, so they're gonna push that envelope.
Buffalo hasn't been wildly successful running the ball so far this season. They rank 14th in the league in rushing, though James Cook has proven to be a productive runner. Do you believe it's a byproduct of trying to let the passing game also get its legs under them with all the new pieces at receiver?
Oh, I think the new pieces at receiver have been a big factor in everything. Yeah, I think the types of routes they've run, the combinations they've run, and what teams believe they can do against the Bills has really started to show itself. I think teams really believe they can cover them up, at least the top two or 3 options in the passing game. I think they believe they can stay with them long enough for the pressure to get home to Josh.
Yeah.
And it's proven to be kind of part of their strategy.
Yeah, because even despite all the work through the course of the offseason, training camp, and preseason for Josh and the new receiving corps to develop chemistry, the last 2 weeks have been some tough sledding. And on gotta-have-it downs, and granted, Shakir misses the Week 5 game, which he's arguably your best separator in the receiving corps. It's been tough sledding the last couple of weeks. And that brings us to the next topic of discussion, which Steve has already touched on to a certain extent. in the process of that receiving core trying to find its identity and effectiveness, opposing defenses have discovered that even despite Jacksonville's shortcomings in Week 3 in playing man coverage when the Bills hung 47 on them, better defenses have learned man coverage and blitz against Josh Allen can be effective because his receivers cannot get consistent separation. Now, I anticipate that Joe Brady will do some things to help his receiving core get separation using stacks, maybe orbit and burst motion even on the road, among other things. But the Bills must have a viable solution for that against defenses like that of the Jets, the Chiefs, and the 49ers down the line here. Otherwise, they're going to get blitzed to kingdom come.
Right. Yeah, they're going to have an answer. And you can you have blitz periods in practice where the offense lines up and they give you everything that the other team has shown in pressure packages, and you get it and you start having a plan against all of them. Takes a long time to get through a lot of that. And you have to – the thing is, it happens so fast. This is where chemistry shows itself.
Yes.
Because you got to see it. You don't have time to talk about it. You don't have a signal. You don't have a word you can yell, nothing. You got to see it and do it because you've repped it. And I don't think they're there yet.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to use the Chiefs as an example here, but Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes have played long enough to know, like, they're blitzing the heck out of my quarterback. I'm just going to turn around and sit down. Right. I'm not even going to run off the line. Right. I'm just going to turn around and put my hands up.
Right.
And people like Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox or another receiver, they're going to have to recognize they're coming after my quarterback. I got to help him out. My route assignment might be run 5 yards and sit down, but we're not protecting him. I got to just turn around and put my hands up so he can throw me the football.
That's right. And there's always an answer for everything too. You got to be aware of guys, because what they'll do is they'll pack the box. They'll get everybody up around the line of scrimmage, and they'll pick and choose who drops out in coverage, and then they'll rush 3, that kind of thing. So you're throwing hot into 6 guys standing there waiting on you to throw it. So there's a give and take for all of that. But when the ball is snapped and 3 of them drop out, then Josh has got to know he can hang on to the ball for just a second, send some guys down the field.
They got to have answers this week, though, because over the last 2 weeks, when facing blitz, Josh is 5 of 16 passing for 34 yards. He's been sacked 4 times, and his 31% completion rate over the last 2 weeks when facing blitz is the worst in the league. They have to have answers against the blitz, or there are going to be problems. One area where all the running that the Bills have been doing is not helping the offense enough is on third down. In just 1 of Buffalo's 5 games this season, have they converted more than a third of their third down opportunities. That was Week 3 against Jacksonville when they went 6 for 11. In their other 4 games, they have failed to convert more than 3 third downs and collectively have a conversion rate of 26.6%. They rank 25th in the league on third down conversions after leading the league in third down conversion rate each of the last 2 seasons.
It's almost half.
How long do you go before you consider altering the approach, Steve, or is there even a viable change that can be made here? This has been a problem since Week 1, not just the last 2 weeks.
You've got to look at what you were trying to do, why it failed, what teams were doing, what other teams learned from your failures, and how they're approaching it. And you got to move forward taking the best path of what you think you can do and what you think the defense is going to do. You've got to absolutely attack it on all fronts. And I get it, too, that, there's a lot in this question because it's complicated, because what the defense does dictates how you attack them.
And where are you going? Where's your production on first down? Where's your production on second down?
Whether you're there was times there have been teams on I don't know which team it was averaging like 3rd and 7.5, 8.5 yards every third down.
Oh, and that's where the Bills were last week against Houston.
That's where they were.
On average, 3rd and 7.
You can't live like that.
Yep.
I don't care if you're last year the Bills were completing almost 60% of their third downs. 50%, I'm sorry. Half of their third downs. They're almost half of that now.
Well, I looked it up, and through 5 games this season, they are in 3rd and 6 or more 66% of the time.
You can't live like that.
Can't live that way.
And if the run game is a problem in that, you got to you got to either fix it or you go to something else.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily all to be blamed on the run, because right now, on first down, the Bills are averaging almost 4.5 yards, which sounds good that ranks 25th in the league. It hasn't been good enough.
Right.
Other teams are far more productive on first down, which obviously leads to greater third down success. The Bills have to boost that total on first down, and it might mean throwing the football more. It just might. One thing that the run-first approach has reduced are interceptions. Josh Allen doesn't have any through the first 5 games, though he has been fortunate that defensive backs have dropped a couple the last 2 weeks. But the question here is reducing turnovers more valuable to an offense than staying on the field on third down and finishing drives? It might not be a fair if-then question.
Yeah. If you're going to finish drives, nothing's more valuable than that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to come away with points every drive, but we've talked about it. It's been a narrative that has followed Josh throughout his career. He turns the ball over too much. Well, now he's not, and now the team's 3-2 instead of 4-1, or 5-0.
But you can't argue. Last week, they come back in the game because they did not turn the ball over.
That's right, and the Texans let them back in the game because they turned it over twice. And then you got to stop on downs as well.
It's a hard question.
It's a hard question because the opportunities that you get and the opportunities that you take away from your opponent when you're positive in the turnover margin, that's by and large why they're 3-2 and not 1-4.
Right.
Because their offense has not played well enough in the last 2 weeks to give them a chance to win. But their defense has, and the fact their offense has been conservative enough, if you want to call it that, not to turn it over. All you need is 1 or 2 plays to keep one play to keep a drive alive. All you need is one missed tackle to keep a drive alive. So it puts a lot of pressure on the defense. When you don't turn it over, they've got to stop you. Don't give them anything.
Yeah.
It's a heavy lift for the defense throughout 4 quarters.
Yeah, it really makes me wonder, is this coaching staff taking this approach offensively because even if they wanted to let Josh cut it loose,
right,
so to say, they're not sure if they can because Josh may not have enough answers in his receiving core to cut it loose and be effective and productive.
Up until the time the defense has played as well as it has with the new faces and the injuries stacked on top of the new roster turnover on defense, they probably came into the season thinking this is how we're going to have to play till we find ourselves defensively. Well, defensively, because of the
They're
struggles,
always pretty steady, though, defensively.
Because of the struggles of Arizona, because of the struggles of Miami, and certainly Jacksonville not being as good offensively as we thought, it looked like it was the way to go. They're hanging 34 points on those teams, and they're not turning it over, so they think this is our recipe. Well, they took a step up in weight class.
Baltimore,
and now,
Houston.
Yeah, they're going to have to adjust to that, and I think that's the real question. What are those adjustments going to look like, and are they going to be good enough in their passing game to make those adjustments and to be more loose and free with the football so that they can stay in these games, stay on the field, and start converting third downs and putting the ball at risk in order to get some gain.
All right, so with that in mind, you're facing another great defense this week, the number 2 ranked Jets defense, which, oh, by the way, is 4th in the league in sacks as well, and a good coverage unit on the back end. So while the approach might need to shift and change a bit based on the opponent, particularly in this week, can they continue to live as a run-first team and put themselves in a winning position against the Jets specifically here?
Well, that's a tough ask because I would think that the Jets are going to send pressure and stop the run on the way to the quarterback. And if they do that, I don't know if you can
then you're really in a bind.
I don't know if you can run into that.
Yeah. You may have to try running anyway,
You're
though.
talking about a Jets team who has the utmost confidence in its ability to cover you up on the outside.
Yep.
And so that's, to me, is going to be the story of this game. And the Bills look less prepared for that than the Jets do. Statistically, anyway.
Right. And you could argue they have a true number 1 in Garrett Wilson, who finally got going last week. Granted, they threw him 22 targets.
Yeah, I was thinking more about the matchup between Bills offense, Jets defense.
Yeah, but you were just saying that they probably have better answers. I see what you're saying. Better answers on defense to counter Buffalo's offense.
Right. I think the
game.
Jets are confident in their corner's ability to cover up on the outside, so they can throw 8 guys, 9 guys in the box and go one-on-one on the outside, and if anybody leaks out, somebody's got them. But they think the pressure is going to get there faster than the Bills can adjust to it.
I get what you're saying.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
And you don't want to run into an 8 or 9 man box, it's particularly when they're crowding the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
It's really. I think this is really a test for if the Bills go in there and walk out of there with a win, it's an enormous statement about where they're at.
I would say yes, because based on what we've seen the last 2 weeks, this is a defense of similar caliber. So if you can come up with a solution to counter what has been successful against them the last 2 weeks and do it against a Jets defense, which is every bit as good, if not better.
Yeah.
It's certainly better than the Texans defense. It's probably on a par with the Ravens defense. You come up with a solution. You come out with a win in this game.
There's nothing that says this game can't be 10-7 and the offense still struggles. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
But if the Bills get up into the high 20s, low 30s and can do that in this game against this defense, there's a lot of reasons to think they're going to be okay offensively the rest of the way.
Yeah. All right, we shift now to the numbers game where Steve is going to be quizzed on third down history with the Bills. And fortunately for you, it's recent third down history. So question number 1, Steve. In 2023, Stephon Diggs led the Bills in third down receptions with 23, as we would expect.
All right.
Who was second on the team last season in third down receptions?
Kincaid.
You are correct. 14 third down receptions. You're out of the box hot. 1 for 1. Question number 2. If you had to guess, how many of Kincaid's 14 third down receptions actually went for a first down?
I will say 11.
Not quite. It's right in line with where Buffalo's third down conversion rate was last year. Half of them. 7.
Oh.
Question number 3. Who do you believe leads the Bills in third down receptions so far this season?
Shakir.
You are correct. Even though he missed last week's game, it is Khalil Shakir with 6. And how many of Shakir's 6 third down receptions do you believe have gone for first downs this season?
3.
It's more. It's 5, which I think speaks to just how important this guy is in helping the offense stay on the field.
I thought he was an enormous loss.
5 of his 6 third down catches have gone for first downs. And then final question, Steve. Who on this young season has the highest catch rate on third down for the Bills?
Got to be Shakir.
You would think, Steve, but it's not. It's James Cook.
Oh, poo.
Perfect on third down this year. Small sample size, but he's 3 for 3 with 2
that's okay.
first downs. I wanted to throw that one in there because people knock him saying, he drops the ball. It's been perfect on third down this season, so put that in the pipe and smoke it.
All right. Well, that's good. Good for him.
Yeah, good job on the.
I was all right. I got
game.
more than
you did
one
pretty well
today. I mean,
no, you got more than that.
I was 2 of 5.
Yeah, 2 of 5. That's not bad. 40%. You're batting 400 in baseball. You're a Hall of Famer.
It's better than the third down conversion rate of the Bills.
Well, yes, it is. Unfortunately, Bills fans, get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Just download the app today and play any way you want. With live betting, you'll get updated odds on games that have already started. Best of all, you get paid your winnings fast. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the Buffalo Bills. We turn now to our one burning question. Bills fans want Buffalo to be in on the Davante Adams trade talk to possibly acquire him. We talked about that last week. Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers are each coming off their worst performance of the 2024 season thus far. Who do you believe has a greater chance of rebounding on Monday night, and why?
That's a good question. I think it's the Jets. I think with the change in head coach, they're going to get a boost of emotion. Being at home on a season where they know this is a game that will absolutely turn their season completely around. It'll put them in first place in the division. They've got a quarterback that needs it. Their defense is playing lights out. I think it's the Jets in this one.
So you think Rodgers has a better chance?
Yeah, I think Rodgers has a better chance because there's still some question marks about Buffalo. I don't know if Shakir is going to be in the game, and they still have to prove they've got answers for what teams are starting to do to their receiving core right now. And the corners for the Jets are really, really good, and they're handsy.
Right. I like the way you answered this because even though you're being asked about Josh or Rodgers rebounding this week,
it's a Jets question.
The answer is more about their respective supporting casts.
Yeah.
And right now, at least on the surface, it would appear that the supporting cast for Rodgers has done a little bit more collectively, and I'm not just talking about offense, I'm talking about Jets defense as well, than what Josh has to work with, it would seem.
I'll say this, too. They're healthier. And this supporting cast means both sides of the ball.
Yes.
Their defense has had some injuries, but the Bills have been ravaged by injury on the other. They had 5 starters out against Houston.
On defense.
And now you've got the number one option, as we just heard, Khalil Shakir. He's out and maybe questionable. Ed Oliver's questionable. He hasn't practiced. You've got all these injuries to the supporting cast of Buffalo going on the road on Monday Night Football. Yeah, I'll say this. If the Bills go in there and lump those guys up, yeah, the Jets are going to be on fire and going downhill in a dumpster.
Oh, a towering inferno.
Oh, a towering. Sure. They're going to be a dumpster fire on Tuesday morning.
I think the only thing.
They've got to win. The Jets have to win.
Right. But in answering our burning question, I think the only thing that Josh has over Rodgers is his ability to improvise. Rodgers is not nearly as good an improviser as he used to be. Yeah. He's a little hobbled. He can't extend plays with his legs because his legs aren't working very well right now. Knee injury, ankle injury. So I think that's the only saving grace for Josh, that if he can find a way to extend plays and get away from the pass rush, maybe he's got a chance to rebound better than Rodgers. And I'm going to try to make Bills fans feel a little bit better here because our closing figure deals with the 2 quarterbacks who will square off on Monday night. Aaron Rodgers has a 74.9 career passer rating against Buffalo, his worst against any opponent in his career. He has never thrown for 300 yards or 3 touchdowns in a game against the Bills. Meanwhile, on Monday Night Football, Josh Allen has the 4th best passer rating of any player since he entered the league in 2018. He has 22 touchdown passes against just 6 interceptions and a 109 passer rating in his career on Monday Night Football. That's all for us here on this edition. Make sure you subscribe on your podcast platform of choice so you're notified when our next episode is out. Because when you need to know about the Bills, you need to check Bills by the Numbers. For Steve Tasker, I'm Chris Brown. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week, everybody.